Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday's Walk on Wednesday, study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we call it Walk on Wednesday because we invite an interesting person on the show to give a little 10 minutes or so. And give a little, just walking on. How are you, Kastuba?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking, it's Janmashtami's coming up. It's Krishna's birthday.
We're getting ready here.
Yeah, I feel the excitement building somehow.
Excitement's in the air.
Yeah. I'll be at the Bhakti Center, by the way.
What's that?
If people that are in the near the city and near New York, they can come to the Bhakti Center. I think the festivities begin at 6:30. This is turning into an announcement, but at 6:30 till 12:30. We go until after midnight. I'm going to be speaking like from 11 till 12. Shri Prahlad is going to be speaking like early in the program. There's going to be lots of kirtan. There's going to be drama and everything, dance, whole thing. It's like, it'll be fun.
Well, if you like Kastuba more than me, you can go to that one. Or you can go to my Janmashtami upstate.
Okay. Will you be staying up till midnight?
We're going to be staying up pretty late because we like to party here. But once it gets dark, we fall asleep.
So maybe you can do both. Start there and end up down with me.
But we're going to have a big bonfire. We're going to have kirtan going on. We're going to set up check this out. We're setting up little deity stations.
Deity
around
stations.
the farm.
This sounds like a concoction. What is this? Deity
the
station?
little private temples.
Okay,
and then we bring them. And we take them on pilgrimage to different deities.
Oh, is that the idea?
Pretty good.
You're going to dress up, put on a turban and everything?
Oh, I'm going to dress up and take them all on pilgrimage. And we're going to have lots of kirtan and a big feast. And I'm very excited. What do we make? Oh, no. The next day.
Why don't you do like a live broadcast that evening for Patreon members, that they can tune into like a Sweet Baby Krishna thing?
It would be nice, but I got to check our internet thing is not so strong outside. It's going to be very outside-ish. But I will say, if you want to go to this one in upstate New York, it is you got to email Bhakti Retreats 108 just to register to be there.
Oh, fancy.
And either bring some food or you make a donation of your choice. But we'd love to have you. And Bhakti Retreats 108. I'm excited for it.
All right.
And we've been reading Krishna book every night. Anyway, any other announcements? Because I'll just keep talking. I'm going to make my next announcement merge right into
the walk on.
Walk on, yeah. Mara, you got an announcement for us?
We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today at 1 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Michelle Berger is offering an asana class for our Patreon members tomorrow evening at 7 p.m.
Michelle Berger, we love her. Yeah. That's great. Well, all right. So I'm feeling real chipper. Really upbeat, really alive right now. And it's basically because I've got all these people behind me over here. I don't know if you can see them, but this is our live crew. These are our ashram crew. And these guys are keeping me on my toes. Whenever I want to just have some downtime, it's like Rachel's like, Raghunath, it's time for your kirtan. Raghunath, it's time for your Sweet Baby Krishna. Raghunath. And, it's great, actually. And my son, who's like, he's sort of on vacation. So I'm making him come with me and play mridanga. It's actually really nice. It's like living in an ashram. And it's not even my week. Next week's my week, but I'm just getting into all this, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And what they're doing is they're learning bhakti arts, like just the simple things that don't seem so important, but they're really important. You know, how to serve people, how to take care of people, how to nurture your bhakti, loving exchanges, stuff like that. So
Culture.
bhakti culture. And you know, it's the bhakti culture. Even when you use bhakti culture in the regular world, people don't know how to handle it. When you go up to the person, what can I get you, sir? How can I be of service? They're like, what? Be of service? I've never heard anyone say that to me before. And you catch them off guard when you like own responsibility. Yeah, no, I think it's my fault. Or when it's really different. So I'm going to ask one of our random ashramites to come on up. David, you want to come up? And some of you know David. You're a Zoomer, another
Yeah, Zoomer other.
all right, you gotta sit right here. Sit up right
Okay.
here. David's gonna come right here, and you gotta talk right in the mic.
Okay.
And you know, tell us your name, where you're from, what you're doing here, and we love you, by the way. Just want you to know that.
Love you too. Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is David Fleischer. I'm here from South Florida.
Oh, yeah, David
And-
Fleischer. Hey, what's happening? my man?
Kastuba. Here for Ashram Week, and yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. You know, every morning we're waking up and we're doing all the practices and really learning how to deepen our practice by understanding some of the foundational practices to practice bhakti, from puja, how to serve prasadam, how to prepare prasadam, eating traditional Indian foods all day, which is
All
been
day.
pretty amazing.
All day eating.
All day eating.
It's a
yes,
practice.
Yes, all day eating. Yoga practice every day, and you know, serving the ashram and just creating connection with everybody here. It's been absolutely fabulous. So it's highly recommended.
There you
So
go.
come up this weekend.
Yeah. So wait and stay here. All right. So that's great. And so what do you regularly do for a job? Right? Do you live in an ashram in Florida?
Far from it. No, I have 2 kids that I attend to every other week, and then I'm a financial officer for a large nonprofit, which is based out of Nebraska, but I live in South Florida.
And there's a Krishna miracle with David because you were connected to Shama Sundari or something, right? In down in Columbia, our friend down in Columbia.
Yes, my girlfriend is Shayna's cousin,
Her name again is
Debbie.
Debbie. Yeah, we
Resnick.
met Debbie. We met Debbie at the country club down there in
Yep.
You remember that, Raghunath? By the
Yeah, and
swimming pool.
it was actually like, and it was random because I think they were just randomly dating and randomly talking to each other, and randomly they mentioned the name
connected.
Kastuba, and they're like, Kastuba, you know a Kastuba? I know a Kastuba too.
Yeah, it was really funny. And then I connected with Shayna separately. Yeah, it was really funny.
She's great.
Well,
All
thanks, David. We're glad you're here. And it's sort of like a similar story. People are coming from all over Michigan and Vermont and Rhode Island, or Long Island rather. And just these simple practices. It's all the sweet things that we experience living in an ashram. Without all the, when you live in an ashram in the old days, it was sort of like you expected to give your whole life to the ashram. That was like just the mood. And we were like 22 and 21, and back then it was like it was expected. I'm looking at Babananda. He moved into the ashram in 1977, I think, and it was like a whole different thing there. You're given everything. You have no clothes. You shave off your hair. You give your car away. But it was like we've tried to make it so you could just experience what it's like without separating yourself from your life. You don't have to renounce your whole life, but you get that same sweet taste. And there's a check-in and a check-out. You check in this week, you check out next week. And some people here are staying for both weeks too. So
That's
it's
nice.
a fun experience. There's still a
Yeah.
couple beds left for next week if you're interested. You can go to Ashram Month on the website.
You know what I was thinking, Raghunath, was we were talking the other day how, our process is that our faith is that, we have this divine love and bliss. That's our natural state of mind, our natural state, but our mind is interfered with it. So we're out of touch with it.
Mm.
And then we have to bring our mind to these powerful sources of spiritual energy. And that's yoga. You focus your mind on the mantra, you focus your mind, but in order to make that connection, in order to become deeply absorbed, for the mind to become deeply absorbed and transformed, and for our own internal nature to arise, for the flow of that energy, there needs to be the right conceptions and the right sentiments and the right lifestyle. And I think what's going on there is, lifestyle and sentiments, these kind of things are being talked about, like if your yoga practice plays out in your entire life, how you cook, how you serve others, how you, even just how you serve food. It's amazing that so many people that have taken this course from Bhakti Lata, they can see how it's so essential, like so important. This is how Bhakti plays out in life. This is how life supports Bhakti. It's really important stuff. It turns yoga into something that I'm just trying to do, like I'm trying to do some asana or some meditation, but it's really not transforming me. And it shows
like
how
what
it
you
comes
say.
alive in your life.
I like what you say. It's the sentiment behind it, and
Yeah.
and it's the relationship and the dynamic between different people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
Heart
get
to
in this
heart.
mood of you're not criticizing, you're not gossiping, you're here to serve. And this is really demonstrated in the serving of the prasad, which is such a, if you think about serving food, that's like, this is what life is made of. This, you come together, you sit together, and then we're doing a Vedic serve out, which is everybody sits on the floor. We got rid of all the tables. We put them in the garage. We're sitting on the floor and we're coming around, and Bhakti Lata starts it, and they by training them to all those who are on serve out duty will come up with, today we are eating kachoris and turmeric rice and whatever it is, and they make the announcements of the prasad, and then they start the serve out. So you're getting prasad very quickly. You never have to ask twice, hey, can I get some more of this? It's always coming around, and the service is in a mood of, would you like some more? Can I get you some more? Are you satisfied? And you just feel so loved and nurtured. It doesn't seem like eating should be such a big part of transforming your heart. But the taking of the prasad and the serving of the prasad is so transformative.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us haven't been served like that since we were little children, and our mothers were like, we're watching Chantal from Germany, who's feeding her child. The child's like kicking the feet in sort of like a little ecstasy, and there she is. And the baby's just like eating off the spoon. So that type of like love, like an attention, if someone actually cares, you walk away from that with a transformed heart. And that's what are we trying to transform? Do I just want to transform my body? I mean, this is where yoga's left us in the Western world is, I want to transform my body because I want you to think my body's sort of good looking. Come on.
What's going
Did
on?
you hear that?
What?
My
Oh, that was your watch? I was wondering who was talking to you.
We left out. The goal of yoga is to get the ego back in line with the soul. The ego's out of whack.
Harmony.
And we're trying to serve this ego and become different than what I am. And if I'm using my yoga practice just so you notice me and check me out and check out my ass and my butt and my I guess my ass is my butt and my abs and my legs, it's like we're defeating the purpose of yoga. We have an opportunity in the yoga system to go real deep with this stuff. And we want a transformation of the heart. And fitness is there. Fitness is a thin slice of a very delicious pie. But if it's the entire pie, I've become very lopsided, especially once I move that self-care into a bigger ego than I had when I started my yoga practice. So it's beautiful watching these guys. It's actually beautiful watching these guys deal with each other, because there's a gentleness and a sweet dynamic that you don't see in the material world.
So important. That played out in our Italy retreat. I was concerned because we had 80 people, and with 80 people, it's hard to spend time with everyone. But I think the thing was that everybody was so, because they're hearing Bhagavatam every day and they're learning about this culture and this attitude and these sentiments, that everybody was kind to one another, and people didn't feel alone, because they're just such a nice Vaishnava, a nice bhakti mood.
It's a different when we do these retreats where the focus of the retreat is the Bhagavatam. Because the focus retreat, otherwise, what's a yoga retreat? It's like, how can I get away from my life to go enjoy myself? which, you know, that's reasonable. How can I go enjoy myself? But it's really based on myself. And therefore, my room is not up to my, you know, appropriate needs, or my, you know, the weather is not how I want it. And my roommate is not the roommate I wanted. And the food is not up to par. And you could make a long list of why your needs to enjoy yourself are not met. And it's different when the Bhagavatam is the focus. You're really like, wait a second. I'm not going to live in a world of complaints anymore. I'm going to be here for my own self-evolution, to grow, to be tolerant. Not that we had bad foods or bad rooms or bad anything, but it's just that we're just out of the blame game. We're not playing that game anymore. And to the degree that I blame, I'm sad. To the degree I complain, I'm miserable. Why go there? And we're just cutting off that, what do you call a limb that's dead?
Dead limb?
A dead limb. No, there's a word for it. You know, it's like a Mara.
Sure.
Come on, word.
I don't know. I'm waiting for somebody to put it on the board.
Mara, you live on the board now. You know, I thought she was a lot smarter, that Mara. But she gets all her info from the
Widowmaker.
A widowmaker.
Amputate.
Nobody's got it.
Yeah, I don't think there is a word for that. Right?
No, it is. It's a limb that
limb.
does. Yeah.
Drumstick.
Anyway, whatever. It's like a limb that has no use or strength anymore. Atrophied limb? No. Forget it.
All right.
All right. Anyway.
Vestigial.
That's it. Is that Banjo Mike?
Yeah.
It's one of them. Yes. Thank you, Banjo Mike. The vestigial limb. So it has to be cut off. Vestigial limb. It's got to be cut off. So the vestigial limb is that part of myself. It's this complaining part of myself that's been living with me. And truthfully, it's been ruining my life and ruining the life of everybody around me.
Okay.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam madirayat. Before we start in our Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Mara?
Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 41.
Text 41. Hey, Kastuba, guess what I did yesterday?
Well, here comes the squirrel. Yes? What did you do?
I bought my ticket for Chant Camp, California.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Doing it up at Chant Camp, California. Do-do-do-do-do. We're going to California, everybody. If you live in Northern California or live anywhere, if you live anywhere, you can go to Chant Camp, California with us and Kastuba and maybe Mara. And that is in Northern California on September 23rd to the 25th, I think. I'm looking forward to that. There's going to be lots of kirtan. There's going to be wisdom of the sages. I'm going to be the MC. And we're going to have different classes throughout the day. And it's in this beautiful setting in North Carolina at Mundala Springs. So if you're interested in that, Mara, how do they find out about that?
I have no idea.
Okay, we don't have any idea yet, but we will let you know.
Chant
Google
Camp,
Chant Camp,
Mandala.
California.
Yeah, mandala.org. I got it. I'll put it
Mandala.org.
up on the
Okay.
board.
All right. Did you get your ticket, sir?
I did.
All righty. All right. So text 41. You want to give us a little rewind, Kastuba?
Yeah, I was saying let's do, because I spent a little time with this, Lord Shiva is delivering a mantra, right? It's a prayer, but you could say it's a song. It's a mantra to meditate on, and for the prachetas, for these yogis. And there's so much here, Raghunath, so much to learn, actually. So I spent a little time with this morning. I broke out the study books and learned a little bit more, because some of this was going right over my head, as we're going through it.
Uh-huh.
But it's a very systematic presentation, actually. He began, we were hearing about Vasudeva and Sankarsana, right, and Pradyumna and Aniruddha. This is the Chaturvyuha, right? And the Chaturvyuha, it means like 4 kind of manifestations within the material realm. Like Vasudeva is responsible for these are Vishnu expansions that are caring for or maintaining, you could say, these different aspects of the material realm. So this Vishnu expansion, Vasudeva, is responsible for the chitta, right, for the consciousness, and Sankarshana for the ego, for the ahankara. Right, it's a material element that we're embodied and encased in, right? And Pradyumna for the buddhi, or the intellect, or the intelligence, and Aniruddha for the mind. And so recognizing that, it's kind of a way of saying, like, I'm trapped in a body. I'm being controlled, by ego, by buddhi, by the manas. Let me reach out to that being who's responsible for controlling all this. All of this is coming from Krishna. That's where this prayer is going. It's going from these Vishnu expansions, and it's going to go right up to sweet baby Krishna, But it's Lord Shiva recognizing that it's, please make my chitta, my mind, peaceful and unchanging. Make it so that I can focus it purely on you. Take my, my false ego, my sense of possessiveness, and release me from that. Wake up my intelligence, my clarity, my ability to discern, and attract my mind, to you. So I could try to fight these as a yogi on my own. Very difficult. Let me make an appeal to sweet baby Krishna, who manifests in this very, in these 4, powerful manifestations, and let me make my appeal to them that I may be released. And so this is yoga, and then he begins to appeal to the different devas, to Surya, and each one of these devas, again, it has to do with our bodily engagement. So he prays to Surya, who's responsible for vision, or for the sight. And he prays to Agni, who's responsible for the speech. And then to Soma, the god of the moon, who's responsible for the mind and for the ability to taste. And to Hiranyagarbha, who's the embodiment of the earth. And to Vayu, who's the embodiment of the air. So he's gone through this system of, like, it's really dealt with, our subtle body, the chitta, the mind, intelligence, the ego, and then the gross material body, which has to do with all those material on the earth, water, fire, air, like that. And now he's built himself up. Now he's going to begin to approach Krishna, personally. And this prayer is going to keep going deeper and deeper and get more and more personal. And it's going to focus on the form of Shri Krishna. Maybe we'll hit that right as we're approaching Janmashtami. But so it's a systematic prayer where Lord Shiva is stepping up in Bhagavatam. If there's been any confusion about who Krishna is, who Vishnu is, who Shiva is, Lord Shiva is going to step up and clarify it right now. And he's going to say, I'm a devotee of Shri Krishna. I can recognize how Shri Krishna is manifest in maintaining our bodies and our minds, and etc. And I'm going to show you how I pray. And you can pray like this too. I pray to Shri Krishna. I pray to, I pray to his Vishnu manifestations, and then ultimately my prayer goes to him in his divine form of that boy, Shri Krishna.
It's amazing. Even the concept that I'm in control, or I'm dominated by these other elements, or these deities of these other elements, or of the environment. There's this concept that I have free will, and I have a lot of choices, and it's actually really minimized, especially if we're bodily engrossed in passion and ignorance. Like for an addict of anything to say, yeah, I'm choosing this. It's like, I'm not choosing anything. It's like my senses are choosing this. My greed is choosing this. My lust is choosing this.
I'm controlled.
I'm completely controlled. What to speak of our environment? For example, the moon affects us in so many ways. Ladies know this, but it affects men as well. The different phases of the moon affect the consciousness. And I think I'm in control, or I'm being, I'm acting emotional today, but it's actually, I'm being controlled by other elements. And this whole concept of free will is there, but it's in smaller proportions. And we have the ability to give us more we have the ability through the yoga system to get more free will just by changing our habits, changing our diets, changing our retaining our sense control, and actually expanding our free will. And just to blindly say, well, I'm choosing this is so ignorant. And I think when you look at these deities, or how you've sort of explained this, because it is sort of like a heady type of topic, that all these deities have these certain control, and I'm going to pray to these deities for it. But it sort of just reminds me about how sort of trapped we are under the illusion of my own free will in this world.
Yeah, it's a great point. We may not perceive it, but you can read about it and then look for it and see how I'm being controlled, right? If there's
Right.
nobody here to tell us, we just think, well, I'm just struggling in this world, but I'm just, maintaining, or I'm just expressing my free will. But that free will becomes limited by the choices that we make, right? We always
There you
use this
go.
example of a car. I step into a car and I have a choice. I can drive wherever I want. But once I start making choices, it begins to, like if I say, hey, I'm going to take this up to 100 miles an hour. Now my ability to turn becomes, as I increase the speed, my ability to turn smoothly or safely, is decreasing as the speed is increasing. So, I'm limiting my free will in one sense,
Sure.
And so,
I mean,
yeah, as we go through life, as we make different decisions, we begin to limit our free will, and we begin to get that place where many of us live 24/7, which is I'm just following the dictation of the mind and senses. So these prayers, when he's praying to the different deities, saying, you kind of like have, just like, there's always someone in charge of any kind of facility, whether it be like a public transportation, or, the water department, or the electricity department, or whatever it might be. There's someone in charge. Let me go to that person that's in charge. That person that's in charge of these faculties that have me locked down, and make an appeal to them.
I worship a deity of the guy in charge of public transportation. Little man deity. Please, sir, I offer him incense every day.
Okay.
The electric company deity. Okay. I thought that was funnier. It just wasn't that funny.
No.
Well, unless everybody laughed and I couldn't hear them because they're on Zoom.
No, it wasn't that.
It wasn't that funny. Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to start to. Now Krishna is going to be approached, and it's not even Vishnu, right? This is sweet baby Krishna.
All right, my dear Lord. I'm sorry, I stepped on you. My dear Lord, you are the viewer of the results of pious activities. You are inclination, disinclination, and their resultant activities. You are the cause of the miserable conditions of life caused by adharma, going against dharma, and therefore you are death. I offer my obeisances. Another great one about you become miserable by breaking dharma. It's not like the world is doing it to you. You're doing it to the world. Your bad choices make you miserable. It's not because the world is so unfair. Our bad choices, we get a reaction for that. There's full responsibility on the yogic path. We don't blame anymore. How liberating is that?
We were just talking about that yesterday, right? When what we're saying, am I a virus on the universal body, right?
I
And
love
if
that.
I am, there's the path of dharma is a way to be a healthy cell, to be contributing. It's just like we're all thrown into. It's kind of like, say everybody got, you had a group of 25 people and they all got thrown into one room, and they had to spend a long time together. There's going to be a limited amount of food, a limited facilities, and so on. And then how are we all going to get together? And is there something that we're meant to learn from all this? And you know, if we what the Vedic literature is saying here, it's like, say you got thrown into that room, and then they also threw in everyone got this book, and this book described how we could all get along, you know, what we're meant to learn from this, you know, how to share, and how we're meant to act, and it was encouraging everyone to act selflessly, right? That's what these Vedic literatures do for us. And if we learn, and the Dharma is the way to behave in such a way where you're caring about everybody, and you're operating in such a way where we can all cooperate and do well together and bring about the benefit for everyone. But it's almost like we're all in that room. We all just threw that book. I don't need to hear this book. I can figure this out on my own. And everybody's breaking the dharmas, and they're making each other miserable. Right.
I'm going to squirrel you into the Shelter Lyric Lounge right here. Ready? Check
Okay.
this out. It just came to me. Shelter lyrics. The earth, the air, from the song Appreciation. The earth, the air, the sun, the trees, like a body, all work in perfect harmony. Can we fit into the system or create the disease? Do we fit into the system or create the disease?
There you go. What's that?
I've been thinking about this for 20 years.
See that? Yeah. There's the idea, right? So we're given these texts, and we're given, you know, we rebel. We say, hey, don't tell me what to do, or get out of here with your religion, or I don't need your dogma, or whatever. And
I don't like your hateful God.
Yeah, and then we see how it's been misapplied by people who didn't get the point of it, right? And we say, oh, that's the cause of all the problems, you know. But no, we need to try to go to the essence of it, you know.
We can't reject spiritual paths because it's been poorly taught to us, right? Poorly represented, and we've been dealt some type of counterfeit spiritual path. That doesn't mean there's not a real spiritual path, because I've been using counterfeit this entire time. I've been presented counterfeit, and every time I do something with the counterfeit, I get busted. So I've gone this counterfeit path. This is crazy. This person was crazy. This priest was crazy. This ashram was crazy. That just because there's been crazy doesn't mean there's not sanity as well. There is a genuine spiritual path, and there are genuine spiritual teachers, and there's genuine spiritual truths. And some people may not represent it well, but that does not negate that there is a reality there. And I think a lot of the people here, we've been through spiritual journeys. Some of us have even been in Bhakti and have just sort of like gone astray just due to our own. Sometimes we sometimes we throw in part of our own discernment. And you can't do that even on the Bhakti path. You have to use that discernment and to feel like what is nonsense, what is dogma, and what is genuine spiritual truth. We're not trying to sell a cult. We're not here to convert people. You're already a spirit soul. You're already there. You're already in the club. Once you identify yourself as a spirit soul, now we just have to apply the truth in a very relevant way and practical way for our life.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. Text 42. My dear Lord, you are the topmost of all bestowers of benediction, the oldest and the supreme enjoyer amongst all enjoyers. You are the master of all the world's metaphysical philosophy, right? A lot of metaphysical books out there. You are the master of all the world's metaphysical philosophy. For you are the supreme cause of all causes. Why did this happen? Well, it came from this. And why did that happen? It came from this. And why did that happen? You're the original cause of all causes. You are Lord Krishna. You are the greatest of all dharmic principles, the supreme mind. You have a brain which is never checked by any condition. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my obeisances unto you.
Now, I want to ask you a question, brother.
All right.
So it starts out by saying, well, it mentioned, you're the supreme enjoyer amongst all enjoyers.
Yeah.
How do you understand that? Like, does that trigger a little something saying, well, hold on, why can't I also?
Why can't I enjoy? Isn't life about enjoy? It did. That statement, like, you are the supreme enjoyer. I was like, well, what am I? A sufferer? What kind of religion is this where I'm the sufferer?
I don't get as much enjoyment as someone else?
Yeah. Well, it's that same concept that our real enjoyment comes from serving the center, not being the center. Material enjoyment means I'm the center. How can I find a bunch of satellite beings to serve me, to take care of me? You know, yeah.
So in other words, if my enjoyment satisfied every other living being, then I could be the supreme enjoyer amongst all enjoyers, right? Like, in other words,
Exactly.
if when I ate, everyone felt satisfied, or and so that's the idea. If you get to the root of all existence,
Here we go.
right, you get to
It's
that
the
root.
Shelter Lyric Lounge.
Okay.
Of creation, and we're just some leaves. By fulfilling your desire, we find our relief. Enjoyment apart from you creates more grief. These leaves become dry. We cry and drop with the breeze.
Okay.
I
So we're
My senses, what have I gained? So-called pleasure is just a cessation of pain. Huh? So yeah, there is enjoyment through the root. When you go to the roots of creation, you said it. You're reading my mind. When we fulfill the roots of the tree, every leaf on the tree is satisfied. If I try to water each leaf separately, they become dry. We cry, we drop, right? With the
We
wind,
die.
with the breeze, and die. Oh,
Okay.
that's good.
I can throw that
Appreciate
in there.
Yeah. So
Do you
we
remember
do.
my guru was telling you about lyrics?
Yes, I
He
do.
was telling you, he was suggesting some lyrics to you. Do you remember them? I remember
I
him saying
had such a sweet relationship with Tamal Krishnamuraj.
he was
Thanks
telling
to
you.
you. Me
he
and
was
me and Kostuba used to live with Tamal Krishnamuraj, and like every
for a
night we'd
month.
and we'd every night we'd like me and Kostuba would be sleeping in the ashram floor, and we just like relish our crazy pastimes that happened that day. It was a very special time.
Hijinks.
Crazy hijinks.
And so, but I remember him telling you, okay, this is a song you can write. You write a song called "Fools Rush In, Where Angels Fear to Tread." You remember that? He said you got to write a song called "Fools Rush In." He was trying to give you like a punk rock theme, right? So
Right.
he said you gotta write a song called "Fools Rush In, Where Angels Fear to Tread." And then he said you could rhyme that with "dead" or "bullet in the head."
I love when he was a very like sophisticated Brahminical man, and he's trying to come down to my level and tell me. Then
Okay,
he
so-
actually wrote like a drama. He wrote a drama
few
about the
dramas,
age of
yeah.
college. Yeah, he wrote a few dramas, but he wrote this one particular drama. And he's like, Raghunath, I want you to check this out. Actually, I wasn't even Raghunath back then. I was Bhakti Ray. Bhakti Ray, I want you
was
to
that
check
the
this out.
one?
And
There's an
he,
unpublished work that he had.
that was
is
it. It
Still
was about the
unpublished.
age of Kali.
Yeah.
And I started reading it and I started rapping it. And he had me rap that drama. Someone recorded it because I did it live outside at the mall in Washington, D.C.
Right.
I rapped.
China Thai probably remembers that. China Thai.
Yeah, China Thai. I could have been on the Rage Against Machine tour and like, before we start, we're going to bring out Bhakti Ray to rap the age of Kali. Okay.
Okay. So when we hear that again, a lot of these triggers that when we read these texts is just because we're not getting to the essence. If we can get to the essence of what it really means, So again, when it says when Lord Shiva has no hangups about it, he gets it. I get it. You're the root of all existence. Therefore, you are the Adi Purusha, the original enjoyer, the supreme enjoyer. Through your enjoyment, if I act for your enjoyment, I feel good, right? It's like he's got that unique position amongst all conscious beings, amongst all enjoyers. We're all Purusha, but he's Adi Purusha, right? Or he's Purushottama. He's like the supreme, the ultimate person, the ultimate enjoyer. It's a unique position that there is a root to all existence. We're all equal in sense of quality, but there's a difference too. We have a certain dependence, and that starts with enjoyment. So our enjoyment is dependent in connection to that original enjoyer.
I'm getting very excited for Janmashtami and Vrindavan, going to Vrindavan. And, Lev is here with us this week.
Does he bring in, did he bring Chester?
He brought Chester the dog. Yes, he did. And we're talking about Vrindavan, and he was just saying, Vrindavan, if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the big amplifier of emotions. Like if you are in the flow, we're talking about this flow, about going with the current instead of fighting the traffic. When you're in that flow of Vrindavan, you just feel so high. The flow of your spiritual life, you feel high. And when you get into the consciousness, which we're talking about right now, which is I'm the enjoyer. Ever get into that mood in Vrindavan of I'm the enjoyer? So Lev was sharing with me. He's like, You know, I had all these plans. I was going to go Vrindavan last time, and I was going to do this. I was going to do this. I'm going to try to enjoy this. I'm going to stay a little longer. And he goes, Raghunath. And you know, Lev is very like calm and self-reserved. He goes, Raghunath, I got crushed. I got, and it just has the ability when you feel like you're the enjoyer instead of Biharilal, instead of little Krishna is the enjoyer. Once you start thinking I'm the enjoyer, then the Dham, it's almost like the lotus closes up and you get trapped in that lotus. Help! And then you just like, he's like, I tried to change my ticket. I couldn't change my ticket. I got sick. I got a fever. It was just like one disaster after another. You have to be in these holy places. That's what we're preparing ourselves to go on pilgrimage. And, you know, when I take people on pilgrimage, the entire time we're preparing ourselves through prayers, through meditation, through mood, tweaking our mood. And when we get to that place, you're allowed entrance with that proper consciousness. I'm looking at Tom Essig and all these people have been to India with me. They know we go there with a special mood. And then you get that high taste, Lori Pag. Right. And then if you don't have that taste, you can't even be in Vrindavan. You're sort of like in it, but not of that place.
We've had times where you and I have taken a group around like like on a retreat and pilgrimage, right?
Yes,
and
we
then
have.
Just as we're about to enter Vrindavan, people drop off. And you could see it was the people that were most materially, selfishly absorbed. They don't get entrance into Vrindavan.
You just can't get in. There's
Not
something
even
happens
physically.
like, oh, I've got a call from home. I have to leave now. Something like that. You're like, wow, they can't get in. It happens on a regular basis.
And then even if you get in physically, it doesn't mean that you get in spiritually.
Yep.
You know, you don't enter that mood. And it's interesting. You could think, in a sense, you could think of the entire what these verses are telling us, in a sense, right? Is that it's like there's a force field. You know, there's like this world. It just goes again back to what we're saying. Like if you have a, let's go back to that room where you have 25 people in a room, right? And there's two different ways they can go. One is that they can all care about each other's experience, right? They could all go into that room saying, if each one individually thought, let me care about the experience of everybody else that's in this room and make sure that they're comfortable and happy. You could have 25 people thinking like that. Or you could have 25 people thinking, I need to make sure that I'm comfortable and happy. I'm not too concerned about what happens with everybody else, right? And then you had someone controlling the circumstance. You know, where do you think there's going to be more happiness? You know, which of those two rooms? You know, the one where everybody's thinking about the other, or the one where everyone's thinking solely about their own experience. And so it's saying that this world is trained to help us think this way. That when we become that cancer, one of those attitudes was cancerous. It just leads to dysfunction and pain.
Let's stick with viral. Cancerous is hitting too close to home here. Let's say the viral. We are a disease, a bad bacteria, whatever.
Yeah, and the other one is healthy. You know,
healthy.
It's holistic and healthy, and it can all work together. You know.
Yeah.
And so, in a sense, we're saying the world is designed to bring us to that. You know, it's designed to it will make us feel some pain until we come to, when you actually become detached and when you realize, you know what, I don't even have to worry about my external happiness, because internally, that's where my real happiness comes from. I don't need to compete and take from others. I can be very detached. I can be satisfied with the minimal material, requirements, and feel happiness from within. Now you're beginning to learn the lessons that this world is teaching. And when you get to something like what you're saying, like Vrindavan, which is like saying that within this earthly realm, there are certain places, we call them holy dhams, that are incredibly deeply spiritual. And so Vrindavan is that place of Krishna. It's you're trying to approach that. You're almost like stepping out of the material world. And and even though you might step in there physically, you may not step in there spiritually. But like you're saying, Lev is saying, you know what, the law works like far more intensely here. It's like, if I'm focused selfishly here, I feel like it slaps me hard, like right away. Kicks you right out.
Yeah. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Sure.
In Vrindavan?
Yeah.
Yeah? Come on. No, it hasn't.
You
You always flow right in there.
I try to flow, but I don't, and that's my problem.
Yeah.
Really let go. You know, when we really all we really care about is, you know, the happiness of that root, you know.
But the highs are very high. When you get high there, you're like,
Oh
whoa.
yeah.
It's like next level high.
Yeah, because you're experiencing that your true nature, you know, you're starting to become in touch with it, transcending the mind, transcending the body.
You know, it's interesting because in one sense, we go to Vrindavan on this sacred pilgrimage. We prepare our consciousness. You know, we get off the bus or whatever, that we bow down on the earth. But you know, if you go to like tripadvisor.com, it just seems like another place. Oh, I can rent a room here. I'll Airbnb a room in Vrindavan. It's not the same. It's not like going to Chiang Mai. It's not like going to Sao Paulo or St. Martin's. It's a different place. It's not of this universe.
You know what this is reminding me of, Raghunath?
What?
Is the Bhakti Center. We all got to, you know, like some of the leaders of the Bhakti Center got together and we created a playbook, which is, you know, just like a document that establishes our vision and our purpose and our values and so on.
Yeah.
And so we came up with a vision statement, which is the vision statement of the Bhakti Center. And we worked on it. We thought about it. We shared. We refined it. We brought it to Radhanath Swami. He also helped us refine it. But this is what we came up with. You ready? I don't know if you've ever heard this before, Raghunath. Have you heard this vision statement of the Bhakti Center?
I don't know.
It describes. I don't know. It describes the vision statement describes what we are and what we wish to become more and more. Okay. So this is the vision statement of the Bhakti Center, a center that's dedicated to developing bhakti. We are a community based on the pure spiritual principles of bhakti as taught by Srila Prabhupada. We come together to hear, chant, and serve Radha and Krishna through making wonderful offerings to them, caring for their property and caring for one another. Now this is the point I want to get to. Through these devotional services, their grace may be invoked, and the pure spiritual energy of Vrindavan may be generated within the building and within our hearts. Through heart-to-heart connections, we sincerely endeavor to expand the flow of that spiritual energy, making the message of bhakti relevant and transformative to an ever-expanding family.
I want to tattoo this on my chest.
Okay, that's
I've been looking for a good chest tattoo. That might be it.
Yeah,
that is such a beautiful statement. It's almost like every family should have that as what is it called? A value statement?
A vision statement.
Vision statement?
Yeah.
What a nice vision statement.
Isn't it nice? And this idea that there's the energy of Vrindavan, right? The energy where we're not it's not that room where there's 25 people all thinking selfishly. It's like there's a center to all existence. Let us connect with that center. Let us all act for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna, and through that we all become pleased, and we develop this pure spiritual energy of Vrindavan. It's generated within the building. It's generated within our hearts, and then naturally you share that. Like, people feel connected. If you're vibrating like that, when you come into contact with others, there's a heart-to-heart connection. They feel, oh, why is that person so happy? You know, like what does that person know? What do they understand? And people step into the Bhakti Center, they do feel that, you know. You walk into a Thursday night kirtan, you know, if you walk in the door, now Julie, our own Jules Blondina here, right?
Yeah, the Jewel of Harlem.
The Jewel of Harlem. She's like, her role at the Bhakti Center, she's responsible for like the reception and the hospitality at the front door when people walk in.
It's all about reception, isn't it? The way you get greeted into a place.
The culture we're talking about, where we started serving prasadam. When you
welcome
walk
to
in
the Bhakti Center. How can I serve you?
Exactly, right?
What?
You feel
Serve
cared
me.
for, friendly, yeah. And then the whole experience. And then you come up into the temple room, Radha and Krishna are in the center, right, in their ornate, altar, and then everybody's singing. When the kirtans at the Bhakti Center, it's not like it's a stage where it's there's like rock stars on this. It's like everybody's facing Radha and Krishna, and they're singing together. And people begin to feel that energy, Then people are serving, they're serving prasadam, and you begin to feel this energy. That's the energy of Vrindavan, right? I'm not the center, Radha and Krishna are the center, but by making them, but Radha and Krishna are in the heart of everyone. It's like, so when you go to that center, you're actually going to the heart of everyone. It's like, it's a formula that works,
It's a formula that
just
works.
need to open up to it.
I like that.
It's a formula that works.
This
Bhakti,
comes from
it's
your
a formula
original.
how's that, Raghunath? Bhakti.
Or a
The
formula,
formula
that works
You like that?
every day.
Every day. I think
Every day.
that's Geritol.
That's Geritol. But you know, this all came from your original question of, does this trigger you to say,
Right.
I'm not the enjoyer and Krishna is the enjoyer? But now we understand. We find our enjoyment in another way, a more internal way, not an external way, not going out and running around trying to fulfill the whims of my, my senses, my nose, my belly, my
crazily
genitals.
programmed mind.
Yeah, that's been sold us, faulty ways of enjoyment. No.
No, it doesn't
All
work.
right. 6:56, Kastuba, what do you want to do?
I want to hear Giant Ty's telling us that you also wrote a vegetarian theme rap back in those days.
I don't know. I don't remember that. Giant Ty's got a sharp memory. I must have wrote a rap song about that. I don't know.
Right.
It was rap rock. It was 80s. It was like the rap rock time. Everybody was doing rap rock.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
We could do one more verse.
All right.
do one
42.
Yeah, this is
No,
now this is a really
43,
interesting verse
43.
because it's 43. This verse is Lord Shiva praying to Krishna as Rudra. Like, in other words,
What?
let's go ahead and hear it.
My dear Lord, you are the supreme controller of the worker sense activities and the results of sense activities, your karma. Therefore, you are the controller of the body, mind, and senses. You are also the supreme controller of egotism, known as
the
Rudra.
Ahankara. Yeah, Rudra.
Right? Well, they say Lord Shiva is responsible for the ego.
Yeah, well, it's
we need once we're embodied.
Yeah, so this is a prayer that, by your grace, may my false ego, my false conceptions, my selfishness, my false idea of who I am, may I become purified of that, and may my real identity be awakened.
Right.
That I am spirit. Yeah.
That's why we say these things. Make these declarations. I'm a pure spirit soul. Stop calling yourself an American, Democrat, a Republican, straight white male, a gay, transgender. Stop using these secondary names of our identities. They're not our real identities. They're not our original identities. You won't find any peace with your material identity. Make these declarations. I'm a pure spirit soul. And when I accept myself as a pure spirit soul, then I'm telling my false ego, which is leaning towards these temporary identities, and I'm pulling it back towards my real identity. Our job is not to kill the ego. Our job is to get we got to tweak our ego to remind it what it actually is. That's the way the ego stays in check. It doesn't mean we have to crush our ego, destroy our ego, neglect our ego. It means we have to get our ego in line with what we actually are. I'm a pure spirit soul. Everybody else out there, they're pure spirit souls. I'm going to treat them as if they're pure spirit souls. I'm going to treat them all with this type of dignity. Boom. We solved our world problems right there. Thank you.
Do we have to do everything?
Good night. Do we have to do everything around here, Wisdom Sages?
I tell you. All right. Mara, do we have any takeaways from today?
We do. We've got some good stuff today. Taking and serving of prasadam is transformative.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Fitness is a thin slice of pie.
Fitness is a thin slice of pie. Ooh. I love pie. That's why I'm not so fit.
Prune the vestigial limbs that don't serve us.
Prune the vestigial limbs. Wait a second.
We're the vestigial limbs.
Maybe a vestigial limbs has to do with plants. Does that have to do with a human body? A vestigial limb?
I don't know.
Maybe it has to do with like trees, because
that's
Banjo Mike's an arborist.
I thought it had to do with trees.
Okay.
I don't know though. I'd never heard the word before.
That's what you're supposed to be looking up, Mara.
Private school. You know how much money your father dropped on that private school, Mara, and you don't know what a vestigial limb is? What the hell? Sitting there.
I didn't learn any shlokas there either.
You didn't learn any shlokas, just smoking in the girls' room.
Yeah.
Next, back to our takeaways.
Okay.
Appeal to Krishna to release us from our mind and senses.
There you go.
An appeal. Say that again.
Appeal to Krishna to release us from our mind and senses.
Oh, Jeff Eisenberg wrote a phantom limb. You ever
That's like
heard
after
that?
you get that amputated.
Yeah,
that's
after you
the
get a limb amputated,
sensations.
you feel like it's there. Isn't that amazing? Maybe the subtle body of the limb is there, and you're just feeling it.
The subtle
Interesting.
body of the
It's
limb.
not a phantom limb; it's a subtle body, perhaps.
Or just that the mind has been programmed and has become accustomed, right? Like again, our experience, we think it's real, but in a sense, it can be unreal. Even you get phantom limb is an example of that. Right?
Or
The limb
it's
doesn't even
there in
exist,
its
but we're
subtle
feeling
body. Or it's
Mm.
there in its subtle body.
it.
That,
It's still
that
there.
could be the
Raghunath can
answer
feel
also.
the energy.
That could be it.
Change our choices to expand our free will.
You ever wonder if you cut your head off?
Raghunath, are you even listening to these?
I'm just thinking about this. 1 second, Mara. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm really interested. Ever think like if you were just like cut your head off, if you could be completely aware, like nothing happened, you're just still there. You're just feeling because you're aware. You're a conscious being. Okay, the body's
Mara
gone, but I'm
thinks
just
about
aware.
that like on a regular basis, Raghunath. It's like one of those things that
I think like maybe I'm like, okay, I'm sick of my head, cut off my head, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm still here. I'm still a being. I still have my mind. You think I'm gonna kill, maybe people think I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna get rid of my pain. No, it's still there in the mind. And you're still walking around with that mind. That's what I was thinking about.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay. Maybe you should.
Someone
think
wrote on
about
the
that
chat
today.
board that apparently you maintain awareness for like 5 seconds afterward.
Mm.
I don't know
Oh,
how
and that's
Crystal knows that, but
Crystal's a scientist. She knows
there you
this.
go.
I say awareness longer, Crystal. I say awareness longer.
Gayatri says that there's a chicken that lived without a head for years.
What?
I want to see the documentary on
Gayatri.
that.
How did it eat?
How did it eat?
She never thought about that. Chickens don't even live for years. How could she deal with predators?
We're gonna look that one up. How to deal with predators.
That's something I would say, Gayatri. That's something I would say.
She said they fed it
It's
through the
all
throat.
real, Raghunath. It's all real.
All right.
Okay, Mara.
Our bad
You're welcome.
choices make us miserable.
Yeah.
do.
Stop blaming the universe, people.
Declare your real identity to check your ego.
Mm-hmm.
Declare your real identity
Bhakti, it's a formula that works.
every day.
That's right.
Cultivate the spirit of Vrindavan within.
Every day.
And
Wait,
Yoga
you can put every day after every one of these.
Why not, Raghunath?
True.
That's why we don't bother to do it at all.
and yoga should help us be a sweet soul, not just sweet cheeks.
Every day.
Ooh.
Hey, sweet cheeks. Whoa, that was fun.
Okay, we're almost there. It's one more day before. Are we going to do something special for the Janmashtami show? Or we just may have Sweet Baby Krishna verses from Lord Shiva.
Oh, or we should just dive into some sweet verses from the 10th canto. Maybe we should do like songs of the gopis, songs of the flutes.
Hey, would it be crazy if I was dressing Radha Damodar during the show? Would that be like too crazy?
I thought you were going to say, would it be crazy if I dressed as Radha Damodar? I was like, no, it won't be
that
crazy.
would be crazy.
Mara dresses Radha, Kasuba dressed in all blue and a turban. Oh,
Like, I think if you kind of lead that show, I could dress them.
all right.
And we'll think about it.
Let's think about it.
We do it special.
Thanks for everybody
Special
for joining us
Alankara.
live. You can join us live too. Wisdom of the wait a second. Mara, do you cut the podcast now at this point? Do people hear anything we're saying?
You can keep talking. It's not till I start the dance cam that I cut it.
Okay. So if you want to join us live here on Zoom, you can do it. Go to wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Make sure you check out Chant Camp California. We're doing it this year. Me and Kastuba and maybe Mara are going to be there, as well as a bunch of yoga, kirtan. It's going to be quite wonderful. And Obata Hari is going to be there this year too.
That's
And
right.
that's at mandala.org.
Mandala.org.
Check camp.
Hey, Bhakti stock is happening too. I'm looking forward to that. Kelly Skinner, the bright light, is going to be there with me as well.
I think
as...
Catherine A may be going there. She's all like whooping it up. She's in the water again.
She's always whooping it up, Catherine A.
She is. She's a
And-
good devotee, Catherine. I just say she's a good devotee.
She's a good devotee. Yeah. And then also, of course, last week of Ashram Month, and join us for Janmashtami, either in New York City or Super Soul Farm.
Okay,
Just so
hold
we
it.
get
Raghunath.
together. What?
This is BBC News.
What's out?
Pretty good. Chicken lived for 18 months without a head.
Chicken lived for 18 months without a head. 70 years ago, a farmer beheaded a chicken in Colorado and refused
70
to
years
die.
ago, who could believe what was happening 70 years ago?
Mike, as the bird became known, survived for 18 months and became famous. But how did he live without a head for so long?
Yes.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Okay, good. Now I'm on the edge of my... Now I want to hear the Bhagavatam tomorrow.
Gayatri was right. You had no faith, Raghunath.
Well, she said 8 years.
She
didn't
just
say-
said years.
No.
She said
No,
years.
She didn't? Okay. Sorry, I doubted you, Gayatri. It's all real. It's all real. Then maybe my thing's real. Cut off the head. You're still completely aware of what's going on.
Well, the
Bestial
chicken
live, your
was.
subtle body's still there.
But which part was alive, the head or the rest of the body?
The
Oh,
rest
that's
of
a
the
good
body.
question.
Or both?
Just the head was alive. Looking around. 8 months? I find that hard to believe, and I believe a lot of things.
Well, this is the BBC. You know, they're...
I believe in every planet has a being behind it. I believe that Jupiter's a person. I believe the wind is a person. I'm still finding it hard to believe the chicken lived without a head for 18 months.
It was walking around.